So, привет, очень приятно, guys. And hello to you guys. Welcome to our interview together with Welicoruss. I'm sitting here together with Alexei and Goiko from Welicoruss at the Manoir Pub in Maurice. Hey guys. So, first question, you formed in 2002 as solo project. Then, after 3 years, you changed the concept and become a full band. What was the reason to change?
Reason was actually that I dreamed to make a band from the beginning. I think it's a dream of all young metalhead. When begin to listen something like, I don't know, Metallica, Manoir, something like this shit, they want to make the same, and just jumping from stage, crying and do something. So actually, Welicoruss was like a musical project. I mean, the first demos, but then someone said me that I need to make a real band and to begin blast the stages. So I tried to make it, and here we are. But it was really a long story, in different chapters, Okay.
Yeah, and you were originally from Novosibirsk in Siberia, is this right?
Yeah.
And then after 5 years, you changed the location to Prague. What was the reason?
It was not after 5 years, it was pretty longer.
Wait, when the band
as live band, it was founded in 2005. And 2013 I moved to Prague, and I changed completely lineup with the new guys who was more motivated and has a great interest to make the same. So you can calculate how many years I think more than about 8 years in Russia, and we played everywhere in Russia and even in some these countries like Ukraine, and it was pretty nice at the time.
Surprisingly enough, actually, when I did my research, I found out that Welicoruss was one of the first black metal bands who were actually doing the tour across the whole Russia, and not only Russia, Siberia. Can you imagine? Like, at these times there were no
Roads.
There were no roads. There were no ways to get from one town to another.
Like on horses,
Yeah, like on horses.
We go on tours on horses. We have 5 horses, and it was really funny to go there. Yeah. And sometimes we complaining to promoters, we cannot come here because it's something like storm here, snowstorm. We cannot come because of horses. They don't want to go, or their food is frozen. What we can do?
Please imagine black metal band standing right behind 5 horses.
Yeah, it's really cool,
Actually, he's joking, but to say this, I think this is pretty cool, to be honest, that Welicoruss has the title to be one of the first bands that ever toured whole Russia, which is not a small country. 8 years was, I think, long time to be there, and I thought that I think that Alexei did a very important thing, because at one point you realize that 8 years spent in one country, you want to go to another level. You want to go worldwide, not just national-wide kind of thing.
Even if the big travel is more than just here in Europe.
Of course.
And do you sometimes miss your home country?
No, of course. Something like I miss more about people and place where I lived. Actually, yes, my relatives and some of friends is still here, there in Siberia, and we talking only through Facebook or Skype, but it's not enough actually, and we have a lot of time to go back, and so because we have so much concerts everywhere and to prepare so much stuff for new album and other things, so when we have free time we go there.
Okay. So Now we're gonna make a little change and look a little bit what kind of music you do. When you read all the magazines or metal archives or so, it said that you played pagan black metal. What do you say about this?
I can explain this.
Why you?
Okay. Because I think I can explain this the best way as possible. Well, first things first. Not to say anything bad or good here. When Alexei started the band, I can clearly say that at the very beginning, his English was not that good. So you have to take into account that the band, from the very start, being symphonic and also touching different natural Siberian roots, naturally, not only Alexei but all of the guys wanted to be heathen. And the meaning of the word heathen, it's very simple. If you even look it up on Google, it means something which doesn't belong to a popular religion. And as we all know, paganism is a popular religion. Therefore, it cannot be paganism. But there is a huge misconcept, and there is a huge a problem with this thing because of the way that we looked on the stage before the new album came out. The outfits and everything, a lot of people were confusing us with pagan, and of course due to the lyrics that were a little bit more written towards nature, right? But we are not pagans. We don't celebrate 8 seasons. We don't harvest. I have to say we have nothing in common to real pagans. If it disappoints anyone, we just do music the way we do, and I think the term would be symphonic black metal or just black metal. That's a subgenre. And we also had a huge problem with the 40,000 CDs that were printed with our best of. That was a huge problem, and they were also misprinted. So on these CDs it said symphonic pagan black metal. And can you imagine how fucked up it was for us when these CDs were already printed? We're like, fuck, we have 40,000 CDs which are labeling us for something we're not. We can't just like return them or do something with them. We have to sell them anyway. So this was another kind of a punch that we had to take. But nevertheless, I think that all of our fans understand, whoever read the lyrics, that there is nothing to be associated, especially musically wise, with paganism. Most of the lyrics that Alexei wrote were dedicated to his personal life, or all of our personal lives, what we've gone through the years, and some kind of our way of philosophizing life, the way we see it, the way we perceive it, the way we have our ideologies, and also kind of our made up hidden myths and theosophy, like a philosophy of God creation kind of way.
Okay, you want to add? Or does he already say anything?
He has his own opinion. I have another one.
Okay, but when we looked at your band logo, we can see a Celtic triquetra. So,
well, to be honest, if you actually dig deep, then a Celtic triquetra, this triquetra does not come from the Celtic. If you dig deeper, and before the Celtics, the threefold actually comes from the ancient philosophers, from the ancient Greece, who were understanding the life in philosophy. This is the actual real one. There is resources out there. Myself, I study philosophy, so I'm very, very known with this subject. This is another misconception again, because people look for the... Of course, we have to understand that pagans lived for 500 years or more. Therefore, the first association is going to go to paganism or to the Celtics, right? But this symbol is more ancient, and it kind of explains a threefold power. So if you want to add something.
I just like the symbol. I took it, and it's from my point. It's show the conception of life, like physical life, spiritual, and the highest level of gods. You know. So actually, about paganism, what I want to say, you can explain it in some different ways and call it in different titles as you want, but inside of me I always had my own ideology, and it's very difficult to explain if it's paganism or it's some kind of religion, or it's synthetic of a lot of it's something like synthetic view on life of different, ways.
Yeah.
But actually, it's more close to a cult or something like that. So I want to say that in my past of my creative life, I like some folkish styles, and I tried to use some elements, but it was not 100%. It was some pieces, because I really love orchestral music of Russian and not Russian, European composers. I really possessed by this, atmosphere and something like that. It's really cool, and for me it was the main thing in music. And I am the guy who like to make experiment in music every time, because Welicoruss was made like a project in musical experiments, because if you will be a happy guy and you will find lucky guy, you will find first demos very, very, very old, and you will listen it, you will see that how many experiments I made in different styles, even in industrial and some dark ambient and something like that. I mix it and mix it every time, till the time when I found the style that I like more. But actually you can see now some elements, for example, from dark ambient, because we have so much intros, outros, and mixture of sounds of something like that. So I think it's sounding really cool, and it's express my vision. And now new album will express vision of other guys from bands. So this is it. And Trikutra, I like it because it shows the main thing actually. So we made this logo, and I'm a little bit disappointed that a lot of people thinking that we are just a pagan because of this Trikutra, because we use we used before some symbols, something like that. So we are not like Archon or something like that, who really in these things, like a pagan. We use our own inner life, inner, how it called, point of life.
Yeah, like he said before, that they are not the Celtic than the other
I
philosophy.
just want to add really fast to what he's saying is that the whole point of this, again, the Triketra is the way we view it, the way we see it, the way he saw it, as he said, spiritual and metaphysical, because you have to go through things in life not only physically. There is things you have to take inside of your mind. There is things you have to battle with and make them much greater, which I think he explained perfectly. Then again, another thing that caused, I think, a lot of confusion to a lot of fans to label us as a pagan band is even myself having a Slavic background. Like, when you're not Slavic, when you're, like, for example, a typical German person or Swiss or Dutch or, I don't know, just from the central part of Europe, you cannot understand this. You would automatically think that, for example, before I joined the band, Alexei wrote 2-3 songs. One of them was Slava Rusi, the other one is Sons of North, and Slavonska Sila. And these songs are pretty much, these songs, Alexei was inspired by his heritage, right? By his.
Actually, these are the only things that have folkish elements.
Yeah, these are the things that he got inspired.
Only, can you-
One
made
second.
3 albums.
One second.
We made 3 albums and now making the 4th one, and actually this is only 3 songs. Because of that, a lot of people thinking that we are pagan and folkish.
I'm just gonna say, the reason they think this is because, for example, he has, in this very particular moment, he was inspired by his ancestors, right? And when you're Slavic, and when you listen to this Slavic music, this kind of, you can't really call it folk. I mean, it is folk in a nature, but not folk as people call folk today. Right? There's a huge difference. Like, even calling a band pagan is not correct. A pagan term, one second. A pagan term is a term for someone who is really pagan from core. That means he celebrates, he harvests, he invokes, he devokes, right? He spends his time. But he was really inspired by this, and he took this kind of like racial elements with classical music. And of course, in classical music, you have flutes, you have even experimental bagpipes and stuff. So this was one of the problems.
And also, you know, if you will listen to music of Tchaikovsky, for example, Russian composer, who is really famous worldwide, much more than we are. But otherwise, this guy used a lot of elements from Russian folklore. A lot, really. But nobody called him like folk or pagan. He just he mixed in so good proportions that it sounded really cool and unique. Even in the time when he appeared and he made the music, it was unique because he made a mixture, and made a mixture between styles at every time is a good point, of creation of new music, because mixing every time good. For example, if some nature's mixing, it's also better than inside of,
Yeah.
because this is a degradation when inside of one country.
Okay, so I think we talked a lot about the philosophy. Now I think we have to change over to some music. So on your website, on Facebook, you say that one of your influence on your Facebook site, you say that one of your influence is Dimmu Borgir. So now they released their new album Aeonian.
Oh.
What do you say about it?
Actually, I had the time to listen it 3 times only, and I try listen to try to find something here. I would like to say that in one point I respect Shagrat and his bandmates, that he tried to make something new and to make a new experiments, because I always like experiments, because this is like agent of creation. If you have no experiments, music is dying. Like, for example, in my opinion, Amon Amarth is dying because it's the same music. When they made this Twilight was Thunder God, it was like Flash, and then it's again the same, and I'm boring. I don't want even to listen new albums, because I hear some best songs, like how it called best songs from albums. I don't want to listen all because it's the same. And Dimmu Borgir made something new. I heard some elements from post-black metal, from some melodic metal, some more heavy metal stuff actually, and actually some songs is I hear like a Nightwish, a lot of Nightwish and happy stuff, something like that. And of course they have some riffs in black metal, but this guitar sounded not like punchy and like aggressive and something like quill black metal. It's something like a toy in the hand of Shagrat to show that they steal metal. I don't know what to say. I think that true black metal fans and fans of Dimmu Borgir will be really disappointed, because there is no some catchy riffs, and actually a composition of all songs is split up. You cannot. I hear it again and again and try to understand this composition of songs, and I cannot understand it. I can. Maybe I will listen again. But they have. There is one song that I really like. This second single. I don't remember the name. It's a little bit in style of Sepultura with something like that.
Yeah.
It's a really cool song.
What I think is that Dimmu Borgir doesn't have the problem with the last album than more than the last 2 or 3 albums, that the fans don't like them anymore because they made a little changeover. What do you think?
Well, I can say that in any style for any bands, fans come and fans go, and I don't know if I can call myself a Dimmu Borgir fan or not, but what I can say is hail respect. I completely respect them, and I understand what they're going for, because this is a band who does not want to play the same shit over and over again.
And I think this is important, that you can change, that you can build your new styles, you can make an experiment. And so the true black metal fan will maybe not be as happy as the guy who enjoyed that we are explained. But I think that the main reason isn't to talk about Dimmu Borgir than more than you. So you're said on the flyer that you will release by spring of this year a new album. What can you say me about this?
This is actually this is actually a mistake. This is a mistake. It was supposed to be autumn. Again, we have a Hellblast promotion who's taking care of our things. And of course, this Hellblast promotion is working really hard and trying to do the best they can for us. Sometimes mistakes will happen. Like, there is things that we can't control for 100% sure with our bookers and with our guys, because at some times we just tell them, hey, just do it. We don't have time. We have 120 shows a year, and if we could control everything, it would be impossible. So this was one of the mistakes.
It was not a mistake. We just had no time to finish everything, because we took on our shoulders, so much work to do. Actually, that actually we touring so much that we had no time to make it in good way, because we don't want to release shit very quickly. We can do that, but why? For what? Yeah. We just wait some more months and release really cool stuff,
Okay. So, I would think that we have now, the time is over. Maybe you want to add something for your fans, your mom maybe greeting? Send some greetings to the cold Siberian.
My mom don't know English, so...
You can add also in Russia if you want.
I would like to thank all of our fans who is really... it's so pleasure to see really true fans of Welicoruss who come again and again on our shows, and more and more people coming. And they, how it called, they just looking for our creative life, what we do, and then they on live shows they're talking about this, what they're thinking about, so they care about music, and it's really pleasure, to have a fans, and actually that we try to make a music and someone really like it. It's a pleasure, and we want to thank everybody, and we hope that new album will not be a disappointing thing like a new Dimmu Borgir album.
So, in this point I will say spasibo большое to all of you guys, and I want to thank you for watching us. Like, share, all this shit. If you don't like it, do it anywhere, and check out the band. We will link them in the description. See you the next time, and goodbye together. And thanks to you guys for this long interview.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's not so
I
long.
think.
It's not so long.
How long?
24 minutes. And
That's nothing.
It's like 3 songs.
Yeah, 3 songs.
3 songs only.
Oh, man, it's not the longest video.
Or maybe one doom metal.